Here's something interesting, which you don't find in the gaming press for some reason, but I find it fascinating. Announcement from National Radio and Television Administration, Online Video Supervising Office, and Publicity Department of the Chinese Communist Party about reinforcing the supervision of online and television game streaming. To Beijing, Shanghai, Guangdong, Hubei Province Radio, Television, and Press Administration, recently the inappropriate content of video game streaming and teens' addiction to it have been a problem to society. So, this is a fundamental difference between Western mentality and, I guess, like China's mentality. Here in the West, believe it or not, people still care about the individual. Like, for example, when they talk about online bullying, they will show, like, okay, so this girl did self-harm because there were a lot of online trolls that harassed her. In the Chinese mindset, they don't really care about an individual. They care about the greater good, like how does this affect society? So online addiction is a problem for society. It's not for the individual that's addicted. They don't talk about like it's bad for you to play too many video games. No, it's like it's a societal issue. So it's a fundamental difference in understanding. Now again, this is how I've been told that things are. It's very difficult to speak with people from China. So if you happen to know anything differently, I would really love if you can contact me and tell me how the culture there is like. But I kind of find it very difficult to imagine how it's like to stream video games there. Because like on one hand, you got to worry about the terms of service from the platform. And then you also have to worry about the terms of service from the government. So you can still follow terms of service, but you can get in trouble with the government, which means you can get arrested. So, Jesus Christ. So, anyway, in accordance with the law of the protection of minors and the relevant regulations for live broadcast of online games, we hereby notice the following. Strictly forbids the streaming of illegal games. TV shows, reality shows, streaming, and short videos are not allowed to mention video games that are not approved by the upper management. Streamers are not allowed to use their streams to promote illegal, not approved games on various online gaming platforms. So, if you're wondering, like, what is an illegal game? I mean, it can depend. For example, if I remember correctly, Command and Conquer Generals was banned in China because they involved the destruction of a Chinese cultural monument. Might be wrong on that, but like, in that situation, you're not allowed to talk about that particular game because you're going to get in trouble. So if you're a streamer, like, you need to know which games are allowed and which games are banned, and do your best not to talk about the games that are banned. Reinforce the supervision on game streaming content. Online streaming platforms need to double check on the content and promotions, strengthen the management, effectively control the content of public opinion. Establish a robust system that controls the information, publicity, comments, and emergency censorship, perfecting the monitoring and prediction of online opinions. In other words, exactly what's happening in the West, but in China, it comes directly from the government and it's more obvious. I mean, it's more direct. You know, here in the West, you got Joe Rogan and he's being problematic, so the White House kind of goes like, hey, Spotify, can you handle him for us? Wink, wink. Or when Twitter censors news that's critical of the son of the US president, or when the algorithm is being manipulated in order to de-rank unofficial news source and promote quote-unquote official authoritative channels. Yeah, that's pretty much just the same concept. It's just that here in the West, it's a little bit more subversive, it's a little bit more under the table, but in China, it's just direct. It's like, yeah, the government wants you to censor. And the government wants you to predict online opinion and to censor opinion that we disagree with. So I'm not saying that it's as bad as it is in China, but we are getting there. I mean, we started the journey, basically. The destination is the same, it's just that China is a little bit more in front of us. Reinforce the behavior of streamers. Platforms need to guide the streamers and viewers to interact politely and rationally, donating reasonably, and work together to protect the civil and healthy environment of online streaming. Streamers need to maintain a healthy taste, conscientiously abandon trashy, vulgar, sexismus, and other low-level interests, conscientiously oppose spamming behavior, ill-formed aesthetics, fan-base maniacs, money worshipping, and other bad phenomena. conscientiously resist the behavior that damage the civilization, moral, and harmony of the internet. Again, like the greater whole, yeah? So damage the civilization, like you as a streamer now has the potential to damage civilization, the harmony of the internet. Like these concepts don't really translate well into the West. But again, like when they talk about how sexist behaviors reinforce the patriarchy, that's literally what they're talking about. I mean, it's a collectivist ideology. So the collectivist ideologies are ambiguous concepts like the civilization, and the party, or, you know, a person in power, like one individual, tells you what the civilization is, and anyone that doesn't fit is outside or is working against the civilization. But I just want you to know, like, how difficult it must be to be a streamer. I mean, you need to, I guess, like, make sure that your followers don't donate too much money. How do you even do that? Well, I guess it's like the streaming platform, right? I mean, you're not allowed to donate more than a specific amount. But even then, I guess like it's one thing when it's a person with a minimum income, and let's say that he donates $100, which for him is a lot, and it's completely different if Elon Musk throws in $10,000 for a streamer. So I don't know how they're enforcing this. It's really bizarre, but okay. Strictly banning people who are morally incorrect. Okay, so they don't have political correctness in China, but they have the same thing that the Communist Party had in Romania, moral correctitude. Or unlawful to use online streaming platforms to make public appearances. So platforms need to control the selection of host and guests. So again, like, notice how it works, right? Like, the government isn't doing the censorship. The government is giving the guidelines for my private platform to do the censorship. So my private platform does what the government tells it to, if it wants to remain on the good graces of the government. If not, the government can intervene, and it stops being my private platform. It's kind of... some people in the US suggest it might be the same. You know, like all these social media giants do what the government wants so that the government doesn't start regulating them or break them apart. I mean, this is why Zuckerberg was having dinner with Donald Trump at the White House. Because like he wanted to be on the good graces so that he doesn't get regulated. Strictly banning people who are moral. Strictly implementing the approval system. When a new game is on the platform, the broadcast and streaming setting need to be submitted to and approved by a relevant administration of radio and television platforms. Hereby, we ask provincial bureaus and administration to guide local streaming platforms and gaming studios to focus on prominent problems, refine management, strengthen governance, and effectively implement these requirements. So again, like any game that you want to stream has to go through this, and they get to decide whether the game is being allowed or not. Urge the online platform to protect teenagers, people under 18. Urge the online platform to implement anti-addiction to teenage users. Take effective measures to make sure that the teenage mode is effective. Implement real name registration. Forbid teenage to make donation and establish services to return the money that was donated by teams. So it's very similar to what a lot of people are pushing here in the West, the complete removal of internet anonymity. Everyone who goes online needs to have their face attached to their account, and then the government gets to decide the way you should properly use the internet, especially if you're a teenager. But again, they usually start with kids, then they move up to teenagers, and then they push it for adults. It's how a lot of the authoritarian issues have been done throughout human history. It's an easier way to normalize it, I guess, right? Because like when they start, all right, we need to do this with children. And people start to agree, and they go like, oh yeah, I mean, this is common sense. And then they'll go like, okay, we need to do this with teenagers. It's like, all right, fine. And then it's like, well, you need to do it with adults. And most people by now, like, they have seen it being done in society. They have seen it being done to other people. And it's like, all right, well, I guess it's for the good of all of us. So, yeah, this is very interesting. I wish gaming magazines would cover it. Because I remember they were simping when China decided to limit the amount of time people can play games. And I was thinking, like, you do realize that you're a gaming magazine, right? And you're cheering the fact that people get to play less games? I mean, that's going to be bad for your business. That doesn't really make sense. I mean, but whatever. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the comment section. Take care.